Hello there guys, and welcome to another one of my reviews. Today we are going to change the layout a bit because it is extremely cold out and raining, so I had to film everything from inside the car. What are we though driving today? Well, this is the brand new DS4, and I'm saying DS4 because this is how it's supposed to be pronounced. The name of the brand has various explanations. The name of the explanations behind the DS name are various. They are two initials and they stand for a number of words. The most commonly used would be different spirit. And of course, as you may already know, this has been a completely new sub-brand of the Peugeot Citroën group for about 7 years now, and it is aimed at luxury customers. It's supposed to be a premium brand that's rivaling brands like BMW, Mercedes, Audi, and so on, and even Lexus to some extent. So this brand doesn't really have a easy job ahead of it, but the new DS4 has a really gruesome task ahead of it, because the creators of the car claim that this is supposed to be a rival for cars like the BMW 1 Series, the A-Class, and the Audi A3. And looking at it from the outside, you would probably be just as confused as I am, because this car definitely doesn't look like a compact hatchback. This car looks more like a crossover, and I think there are different rivals that fall into this pattern a lot better. And I'm talking about cars like the BMW X2, for example. I'm talking about cars like the Lexus UX, and I'm talking about the Mini Clubman. Those three look a lot more like this car, and I think they are more fitting rivals to it than the 1 Series and the A-Class and the A3, because this car is bigger in every way. It's 4.4 meters long and has a ground clearance of 19 centimeters. And furthermore, there's a cross version of the DS4, and that cross version has an even higher ground clearance, and it's prepared for off-roading, even though the car doesn't really come with all-wheel drive. So comparing this car to the three German rivals I mentioned before doesn't really make sense in my book. But if the French people want to claim that, it's their prerogative, and they can do whatever they want with the car. But in terms of design, I think it looks better than all of them. And DS models often have a better design than most of their rivals. If we're talking about the DS3, if you're talking about the DS7 or the DS4 or the DS9, because we also have a DS9, which is basically a sedan based on the 508. This car looks brilliant. I love the daytime running lights which flank the front bumper on either side. I love the LED headlights. Whenever you approach the car, it does a little light dance to let you know that it's waking up and welcoming you, and it has some purple details at the top of the headlamps, and it looks really, really well. Also from the sides, the car has a very beautiful sideline, and around the back you'll notice the 3D tail lamps that we've also seen on the DS7 and other models in the range. And I think this is the best looking car in this claimed segment by far. The higher ground clearance and the 20-inch wheels really help out in this regard. And the interior is similar. It looks great, and it has incredibly good materials inside, but it will depend on the model you get. We have an optional package installed on this car that brings Nappa leather all around and costs about 4,000 euros. And you have Nappa leather on the dash, Nappa leather on the doors, Nappa on the seats, and so on. And this car is a top spec model, as press cars usually are. We have massaging seats, ventilated seats, heated seats front and back. We have everything you could possibly wish for, and I think this interior looks really good. And it has a couple of interesting details too. As it happens with most DS4 models, we have this diamond pattern all over, on the dashboard, on the center console, on the door panels. And these buttons over here are quite hidden away. I mean, looking at this over here, you would be hard pressed to figure out that these are actually buttons. But if you press under the pictures over here, you will use various functions. And I love that about this. It's quite the same principle of shy tech as BMW is trying to implement right now on its cars. And this here is a massive vent. You can adjust it using these buttons over here. And yeah, I like this approach very much. We have a 10-inch screen over here, which, as you can see, can be connected to Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and works really well. Unfortunately, it still uses a wired connection, and every plug on this car is a Type-C plug. So you might want to get yourself some Type-C cables. We also have a charging pad over here, 2 cup holders, a decent storage space inside the armrest that opens in 2 pieces, and we have a screen over here to use certain functions. So for example, if I press on it, it will pop up a shortcut menu, and in order to select any option, you just have to release your finger, and that's it. So it's pretty useful. You don't really have to take your eyes off the road a lot. It works like a touchpad, if you will. Remember the old Lexus systems, they try to use the same approach, but over here it's much better implemented, and you can also write letters on it whenever you're trying to input a destination into navigation system. But since we have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, you'll probably be using Waze or Google Maps, not the onboard navigation system, which is pretty good. It's updated every day, and I noticed that it has the pricing for gas or for diesel embedded into it, and it is up to date. It actually works, so that's something to keep in mind. But other than that, you sit really low in this car, even though it has this crossover SUV allure on the outside. And I think they did a great job with the design. And I also sat in the back, where I had a decent amount of room. And by a decent amount of room, I mean I fit in the back. Yeah, I do touch the headliner a bit, but I do have knee room and leg room, and this is more than I could say about the Audi A3 or the 1 Series, for example. I didn't get to drive the A-Class yet, but I'm pretty certain it won't offer more leg room than this car or its main German rivals. So yeah, overall, good interior, good exterior, especially in terms of design, and I have to talk about the technical side of things now. So this car is built on the same EMP2 platform as the Peugeot 308 or the Opel Astra and so on, a number of cars. But it has been heavily redesigned and modified in order to make this car a Day S. Now, this brand is defined by comfort, and this car really is comfortable. We have adaptive suspension on it, and you have 4 driving modes. You have Eco, Normal, Comfort, and Sport mode. And the car really changes its driving experience depending on the mode you choose. So under the hood you will find familiar powertrains because this is the EMP2 platform. So the range kicks off with a 1.2 liter 3-cylinder petrol engine that's capable of delivering 130 horsepower. It goes up to a diesel 1.5 liter engine, which I don't really think suits this car, and goes up to a 1.6 liter engine that can be had in 3 different combinations. It can be had with 180 horsepower, it can be had with 225 horsepower, which is the one we have, and it can be had with a plug-in hybrid version that also has 225 horsepower, but it also has a battery that allows this car to run in fully electric mode for a number of kilometers. So we're testing the pure the Rivoli version with the 1.6 liter 225 horsepower engine under the hood, and it works rather well. The one complaint I have is the gearbox. I've said this on a number of reviews with PSA models. It's an AC 8-speed automatic gearbox that has some issues in the first 3 gears. Namely, it is a bit hesitant at times. So it doesn't really know which gear to choose, and it feels a bit laggish in the first gears. That happens also when in two occasions, when you set off and when you're slowing down and coming to a complete stop. It can get a bit jittery at times. I noticed that if I use sport mode, the car feels a bit better in this regard, but not a lot. The suspension is incredibly comfortable, but you do get a bit of body roll because it is set up to be very comfortable, but it will lean a bit in the corners. Now, if you enter sport mode, that will be drastically reduced. And I did find myself using sport mode a number of times, because even though you activate sport mode and you're supposed to get a very rough feeling ride, the car doesn't really get that upset. So it's still decently comfortable even in sport mode, but it keeps its weight in check a lot better. So I prefer that driving mode in this car. And another interesting thing this car has is a camera over here that scans the road ahead and sees if there's an uneven surface or a pothole or something along those lines, and adjusts the dampers individually in order to keep you as comfortable as possible. And mind you, we have 20-inch wheels on this car, and it is incredibly comfortable and refined. And if you want to drive in a sportier fashion, the car will do 100 kilometers an hour in 7.9 seconds. It won't break any land speed record, but it is fast enough for most people, and I really enjoyed my time with it. As I said, it's very comfortable, and it is a great looking car, and it will attract a lot of curious looks. Now, those looks, I don't know if they're because this is a new car or because it looks good, but I tend to believe it's the second one. A lot of people are wondering what is it, because the DS4 brand is rather new to most people. And a lot of them are curious about its design. So yeah, it will attract a lot of looks. So if you're looking to buy one, you might want to make sure that you're okay with the added attention you get, at least for now. That said, what would be the takeaway for this car? Well, I really enjoyed it. I think it looks great, feels great. It has incredibly good feeling materials inside. A more than decent ride. It's a very comfortable ride, but if you want a sportier alternative, maybe you should look at the Mini Clubman or the BMW X2. Those are sportier feeling cars, but they are also based on front-wheel drive. I would have liked some all-wheel drive character in this car, and I'm waiting for the electric version they said they will launch, because I think the electric powertrain fits this car perfectly. I mean, this is a good engine and all, but it's not perfect, especially in the gearbox department. So that's my only complaint about this car. Other than that, it's quite brilliant, incredibly beautiful, and it is a statement wherever you go. That said, this has been my review with the DS4. I repeat, I am saying DS because this is how it's supposed to be pronounced. DS in French comes from goddess, so you're supposed to say DS, but I know most people will say DS4. That said, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think about the car in the comment section below. If you have one, let me know how your experience went with buying this car and owning it and maintaining it. Until next time, don't forget to like, share, and of course subscribe. It keeps this channel alive. Ciao.